What if everything you've been told about staying healthy is actually making you weaker? I'm 83 years old, and my doctors are genuinely shocked every time they review my test results. Today, I'm revealing 5 so-called bad habits that medical professionals initially criticized but now quietly admit might be exactly why I'm healthier than most people half my age. These aren't trendy fads or unproven theories. These are habits backed by current scientific research from institutions like Johns Hopkins, Harvard, and the Mayo Clinic. And the 5th one? It's so controversial that my own doctor wouldn't discuss it publicly for years, but the scientific research behind it is absolutely undeniable. At my last checkup, my cardiologist stared at my blood work and vitals for what felt like an eternity. My blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and cognitive function scores looked like they belonged to someone decades younger. When she finally asked what I do daily, I listed my routine honestly. She put down her pen, leaned back in her chair, and said something I'll never forget. Technically, I should tell you to stop doing at least 3 of these things, but your results speak louder than any textbook. That moment changed how I view health advice forever. Bad. Habit 1. I skip breakfast several times a week. Let me start with something that flies directly in the face of what we've heard our entire lives. For decades, we were told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, that skipping it would slow our metabolism and damage our health. Nutritionists hammered this message into us. Doctors repeated it at every checkup. Our parents made us eat breakfast even when we weren't hungry. I ignored that advice completely about 4 years ago, and my body has thanked me for it in ways I never expected. Several times each week, I don't eat my first meal until around 11 in the morning, and the health benefits have been nothing short of remarkable. Research from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine shows that intermittent fasting, which is exactly what I'm doing when I skip breakfast, triggers something called autophagy in our cells. This is your body's natural cleanup process, where cells remove damaged components and regenerate healthier ones. Think of it like taking out the trash in your house. If you never empty the garbage, things get unhealthy quickly. For seniors specifically, this cellular housekeeping reduces inflammation throughout the body, improves insulin sensitivity, and may even protect against cognitive decline. The study followed adults over 60 for 18 months and found significant improvements in markers of metabolic health among those who practiced time-restricted eating. Blood sugar levels stabilized, inflammatory markers dropped, and participants reported better mental clarity. When I skip breakfast, I'm giving my body a 16-hour fasting window from dinner the night before until lunch the next day. During this time, I drink plenty of water, and sometimes I'll have black coffee or plain green tea without any sweeteners or cream. My energy levels don't crash like I feared they would when I first started this practice. Instead, I feel mentally sharper in the morning than I did when I was forcing down breakfast out of obligation. I get more done before lunch now than I used to accomplish in entire mornings. My last A1C test showed numbers in the optimal range, something my doctor directly attributed to this eating pattern. She admitted that while she still recommends breakfast to most patients out of habit, the research is making her reconsider that blanket advice. Here's what happens if you ignore this approach. Your body never gets that extended break from digesting food, which means it never fully activates its cellular repair mechanisms. Chronic inflammation stays elevated, insulin resistance can worsen over time, and you miss out on one of the most powerful anti-aging processes your body can perform naturally. Your cells accumulate damaged components that should have been cleared out, leading to faster aging at the cellular level. The solution is remarkably simple and doesn't require any special equipment or expensive programs. Start with just 1 or 2 mornings per week where you delay your first meal by a few hours. You don't need to jump into skipping breakfast entirely right away. Push breakfast to mid-morning, then gradually extend that window as your body adapts. Listen to your body during this transition. Some initial hunger is normal, but it typically passes within 20 minutes. Your cells are sitting there right now, waiting to activate their self-cleaning mode. Don't let another day pass without giving them that opportunity. Bad habit 2. I eat full-fat dairy. Every single day for years, every doctor, every health magazine, every nutrition expert told us the same thing. Choose low-fat, skim milk, fat-free yogurt, margarine instead of butter. The message was relentless and seemed unanimous. Fat was the enemy, and we needed to eliminate it from our diets as much as possible. I stopped listening to that advice about 5 years ago, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made for my health. Every single day, I consume full-fat dairy products without guilt or concern. And not only have my health markers improved, but I actually feel satisfied after meals in a way I never did with the low-fat versions. That constant nagging hunger that used to follow me everywhere has completely disappeared. Harvard Medical School published comprehensive research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, examining the relationship between full-fat dairy consumption and heart disease in older adults. The findings contradicted decades of conventional wisdom that had shaped public health policy and medical advice. The study showed that full-fat dairy does not increase cardiovascular disease risk in seniors and may actually improve several metabolic health markers. Researchers found that the naturally occurring fats in whole milk, real butter, and full-fat yogurt help our bodies absorb critical fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. These vitamins are essential for bone health, immune function, and cognitive performance. Yet our bodies simply cannot absorb them properly without adequate dietary fat. The study also revealed that people who consumed full-fat dairy had better satiety, meaning they felt fuller longer and were less likely to overeat throughout the day. My daily routine includes whole milk in my morning coffee, real butter on my toast, and full-fat Greek yogurt as an afternoon snack. I stopped buying anything labeled low-fat or fat-free completely. My refrigerator now contains real food instead of processed versions that have been stripped of their natural fats. Within 3 months of making this switch, I noticed I wasn't constantly hungry between meals anymore. That gnawing feeling of never being quite satisfied disappeared completely. I stopped reaching for snacks every hour. My most recent cholesterol panel actually showed improvement in my HDL levels, the good cholesterol that protects your heart. My doctor was skeptical at first, but when she saw 3 consecutive tests showing the same improvements, she had to acknowledge that the full-fat dairy wasn't harming me and might actually be helping. When you continue choosing low-fat options, you're setting yourself up for constant hunger, poor vitamin absorption, and potentially worse metabolic outcomes. Many low-fat products replace natural fats with added sugars and artificial ingredients to improve taste, which can spike your blood sugar and increase inflammation. Read the labels on your low-fat yogurt, and you'll likely find more sugar than you'd expect. That sugar triggers insulin spikes, leads to energy crashes, and promotes fat storage in ways that natural dairy fat never does. Your body knows how to process real butter. It has no idea what to do with the chemical mixture that makes up most margarine products. The fix is straightforward. This week, replace just 1 low-fat dairy item in your refrigerator with the full-fat version. Swap that skim milk for whole milk. Trade the fat-free yogurt for the real thing, throw out the margarine, and buy actual butter from grass-fed cows if possible. Your body needs these natural fats to function optimally and absorb the nutrients you're already eating. Start making that switch today. Bad habit 3. I take a nap. Almost every afternoon, while everyone around me praises being constantly busy and productive every waking hour, I do exactly the opposite. Almost every single afternoon, somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock, I lie down and take a nap. This isn't because I'm lazy or because I'm giving up on the day. It's a deliberate health strategy that has kept my mind sharp and my cardiovascular system strong. My friends used to tease me about it, calling it an old person's habit. Now, several of them have started napping themselves after seeing my energy levels and health outcomes. The Mayo Clinic conducted extensive research on afternoon napping in adults over 60 and published findings that completely validate what I've been doing instinctively. Their studies show that short afternoon naps, lasting between 20 and 30 minutes, significantly reduce cardiovascular stress, lower cortisol levels, improve memory consolidation, and enhance cognitive function in older adults. The research specifically noted that seniors who nap regularly have better cardiovascular health markers and lower rates of stress-related illness compared to those who push through afternoon fatigue. European studies tracking thousands of seniors over multiple years found similar results, with regular nappers showing reduced risk of heart-related incidents. The key finding was that the nap duration matters tremendously. Naps under 30 minutes provide benefits, while naps over an hour can actually disrupt nighttime sleep and leave you groggy. My napping routine is simple and consistent. After lunch, usually around 1:30, I go to my bedroom, close the curtains to darken the room, and set an alarm for 25 minutes. I don't always fall into deep sleep, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes I just rest quietly with my eyes closed, and I still get the benefits. The key is giving my body and brain that midday reset without trying to force deep sleep. When the alarm goes off, I get up immediately to avoid grogginess. I splash cold water on my face, maybe do a few gentle stretches, and go about my afternoon feeling refreshed and clear-headed. My blood pressure readings, which my doctor has me monitor regularly, consistently show lower numbers on days when I nap compared to days when I skip it. The difference is usually 5 to 8 points, which might not sound like much, but is clinically significant over time. If you ignore your body's natural afternoon energy dip and push through with caffeine and sheer willpower, you're keeping your cortisol levels chronically elevated. High cortisol over time damages memory, increases cardiovascular stress, and accelerates cognitive decline. You're essentially running your system in overdrive without ever giving it a chance to reset and recover. It's like driving your car for hours without ever letting the engine cool down. Eventually, something breaks. The solution requires nothing more than 20 minutes of your time. Tomorrow afternoon, when you feel that natural energy dip hitting around 2 o'clock, don't fight it with another cup of coffee. Go to a quiet space, set an alarm for 15 to 20 minutes, and simply rest. You don't need to fall asleep for it to work. Even quiet rest with your eyes closed provides significant cardiovascular and cognitive benefits. Your heart and your brain are begging for this midday reset. Give them what they desperately need starting tomorrow afternoon. Bad habit 4. I don't do intense exercise, just daily movement. I've never had a gym membership in my entire life, and my doctor regularly comments that my mobility and physical function are exceptional for my age. I don't do high-intensity workouts, I don't lift weights, I don't attend fitness classes, and I definitely don't push my body to exhaustion. What I do instead is move my body naturally throughout every single day in ways that feel good and sustainable. And according to current medical research, that approach might actually be superior for people our age. I'm not sitting around being sedentary, but I'm also not trying to exercise like I'm training for a marathon. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, along with the American Heart Association, have published updated guidelines showing that moderate daily activity provides the same longevity and health benefits as intense, structured exercise for seniors, but with dramatically lower injury risk. Their research demonstrates that 30 to 40 minutes of walking, light gardening, gentle stretching, and basic household activities spread throughout the day improves cardiovascular health, maintains muscle mass, supports joint flexibility, and enhances balance just as effectively as gym-based programs. A study from the National Institute on Aging followed seniors for 10 years and found that those who engaged in consistent, moderate daily movement had better long-term health outcomes and lower injury rates than those who did intense but sporadic exercise. The consistency factor turned out to be far more important than the intensity factor for our age group. My movement routine looks like this. I take a 15-minute walk after each meal, 3 times daily. These walks aren't power walks where I'm huffing and puffing. I walk at a comfortable pace where I could easily hold a conversation. I spend 30 minutes in my garden most mornings, bending, reaching, and carrying light loads. Gardening provides natural resistance training without the injury risk of gym equipment. I do my own housework, vacuum my floors, and wash my dishes by hand instead of using machines for everything. These activities keep me moving and engaged. I park farther from store entrances and take stairs instead of elevators when possible, always holding the railing for safety. None of this feels like exercise because it's just living life actively. My muscle tone has remained stable, my balance is solid, and I haven't had any exercise-related injuries that plague so many of my friends who overtrain at gyms. My neighbor Gerald, who's 79, tore his rotator cuff trying to lift weights like a younger man and was in pain for months. When you push yourself into intense workouts that your body isn't prepared for, you risk serious injury that could sideline you for months or permanently. Torn muscles, joint damage, and falls during high-intensity exercise can quickly erase any fitness gains and leave you worse off than when you started. Many seniors get discouraged by unsustainable gym routines and eventually abandon all physical activity altogether, which is the worst outcome possible. The answer is beautifully simple and requires no gym membership or special equipment. Commit right now to taking a 10-minute walk after each meal starting tomorrow. That's 30 minutes of movement spread naturally throughout your day. Add in basic household tasks you might have been avoiding, like washing your car or reorganizing a closet, and you've created a sustainable movement practice that will serve you for years. Consistency beats intensity at our age every single time. Take your first after-meal walk tomorrow. Bad. Habit 5. I have a small glass of red wine 4 times a week. This is the controversial habit my doctor wouldn't discuss publicly for years, yet the science behind it has become increasingly clear and harder to ignore. I'm talking about moderate alcohol consumption, specifically red wine. Let me be absolutely clear from the start. This is not medical advice to start drinking if you don't already. And this absolutely doesn't apply if you have any health conditions that contraindicate alcohol use, including liver disease, certain medications, or a history of alcohol abuse. But for those who already enjoy alcohol responsibly and have no contraindications, the research on moderate red wine consumption for seniors is genuinely fascinating and worth understanding. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition published research examining moderate red wine consumption in adults over 60, and multiple European longevity studies have tracked this for decades with remarkably consistent findings. The research consistently shows that moderate red wine intake, defined very specifically as 4 to 5 ounces no more than 4 to 5 times per week, is associated with improved cardiovascular health markers, reduced inflammation, and potential cognitive benefits in older adults. The key compounds are resveratrol and other polyphenols found in red wine, which have demonstrated anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties in numerous studies. Research from the Mediterranean diet studies, which have produced some of the most robust longevity data we have available, shows that moderate red wine consumption as part of an overall healthy lifestyle correlates with better heart health and cognitive function. The emphasis is entirely on the word moderate, and these benefits disappear completely and reverse into harm with excessive consumption. My routine is modest and consistent, I have one small glass of red wine with dinner, typically 4 evenings per week, never more. I measure it precisely, 4 to 5 ounces, using an actual measuring cup because wine glasses today are deceptively large and can hold 8 to 10 ounces easily. I never drink on an empty stomach, and I never exceed my weekly limit regardless of social situations or holidays. When my doctor finally acknowledged this habit after I listed it honestly during a health history review, she reviewed my liver function tests and cardiovascular markers carefully before admitting that my moderate intake, combined with my other healthy habits, didn't appear to be causing any harm and might indeed be providing the benefits the research suggests. She made it clear this isn't blanket advice for all her patients, but that in my specific case, with my specific health profile, she wasn't concerned. The consequence of ignoring this research, if you're someone who already drinks moderately, is potentially missing out on cardiovascular and cognitive benefits that have been documented in some of the world's healthiest populations. However, and I cannot stress this enough, if you don't currently drink alcohol, this is absolutely not a recommendation to start. The risks of alcohol consumption can outweigh benefits for many people, and there are other excellent sources of resveratrol, including grape juice, blueberries, dark chocolate, and peanuts. If you do currently consume alcohol, the immediate action is to measure your portions accurately using actual measuring tools and track your weekly consumption honestly in a journal. Most people dramatically underestimate how much they're actually drinking when they pour freely. If you're exceeding moderate levels, you're moving into harmful territory regardless of any potential benefits. If this applies to your situation, schedule an honest conversation with your doctor this week to discuss whether moderate intake makes sense for your specific health profile, medications, and medical history. At 83, I'm walking proof that sometimes the conventional rules we've followed for decades need to be questioned and re-examined based on current science rather than outdated advice. These 5 habits that doctors once universally condemned are now supported by solid research from the most respected medical institutions in the world. The key isn't rebellion for its own sake, but rather paying attention to what actually works, what the current science actually says, and most importantly, what your own body tells you. Your body has an intelligence and wisdom that outdated health advice simply doesn't account for. These habits have kept me healthier, more energetic, and more mentally sharp than I have any right to be at my age. Which of these 5 habits surprised you most? I genuinely want to know, so drop a comment right now and tell me. Which one are you going to try first? If you know someone who's still rigidly following health advice from 20 years ago without questioning it, share this video with them immediately. They need to hear this information. Hit that like button if you're ready to base your health decisions on current research rather than outdated rules. And subscribe to this channel because I'm sharing more of what actually works at our age, not just what sounds good in theory, but fails in real-world practice.